people, I see that they have a tragedy in their life. They're like, why does this happen to me? Why? Because it happens to you because to make you, to shape the matrix, to unlock the matrix of this world, to make you think that you are finite, that you are mortal, that you need to be humble and realize that you're nothing. You're like a worm, maggot. People walking around with so much arrogance that there's something. I look at them thinking, you fool. You fool, you think you're something? With arrogance, going on the, yeah, God doesn't exist, God doesn't exist, how can you believe in a notion? You fool. The fool's fool. How ridiculous. When you die, how are you going to face your Lord? How are you going to face your Lord? You can try and con people all day long with your arrogance. It's not going to work. Where is that arrogance going to be? You're going to tremble. When you see your Lord, you're going to tremble in His sight and beg Him just to come back for one moment. But it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. This is a reality, folks. This is a reality. Everybody in this room is going to die. Now, all I'm asking, or my whole argument today, whether you believe it or not, what I'm saying is think about the fact that you are going to pass out of existence. Many people, when they're on their deathbed and they're pain and they're groaning, can I just read an extract? I want to read an extract. I don't want to put this on here. I need more questions, by the way. Well, how am I doing for time, actually? How am I doing for time? Okay, let me ask the question. The extract is, I would recommend you read it. It's from an extract from the death of Ivan Ilovich. It's from a novel, story of the life and death of this 45-year-old court judge. And it's a beautiful story, the last moments of his life. And he starts, when on his deathbed, he starts contemplating, right? It's a bit too late. But he starts to contemplate about his life, and he scrutinizes every aspect, and he finds out that what he was ignoring, you know, and those kind of pings of, are you sure your life is right? He kept ignoring it, pushing it to the back of his mind. And then he says, I live for nothing. And then he said, I saw my daughter, I saw the doctor, I saw my son. And he said, they started to make me angry. Why? Because I saw in them what I saw in myself. What I saw in myself, I saw in them. He said, their dude is just as I am. And then he passes away. So you don't want to be in that situation, folks. You want to be in that, at that point of death, on your deathbed, you want to be at that point where you're saying, well, look, you know what? I did what I could. Sorry, last question. That was the last question? Wow, you hear it? What a question. To the back. Okay, so no more questions. What time is it now? It's 7:30. 7? Yeah. Okay, sure, no more questions? Because I'm okay, it's at 8:30, so we'll give it.
That's important.
I'm going to be here all night.
Raise your hand, please. Raise your hands, please. Does anybody have a question?
Someone says, yeah, I heard there's a talk happening here. Do you know where it is?
Okay, this is the last question. Assalamu alaikum.
I wanted to ask that, as you highlighted, if our purpose mainly is to worship God, where do these so-called worldly things like a family and careers and things like those fit in our daily schedule or our life as a bigger picture?
They in the grand scheme of things, they're nothing. The grand scheme of things, they mean absolute zero. Absolute zero. But man, because man is not just a spiritual being, but he is a material being, we need to use those things in order to support ourselves. Because man can't live just on spirituality, he's also material, so he needs the material. Those are means to an end, never the end itself. So the point is that we use the career, we use that stuff in order to support ourselves. Those, look, a job, a career, a PhD, all of those things, a family, are fine. That's normal. But the point that the Quran is making, the point that God is making in the Quran is, the point that Allah is making is, don't be distracted. Don't lose focus. Right? Do not be the traveller like my friend who spent £200 on the way to the holiday rather than spending the money at the holiday destination, right? Just don't be distracted. So in the grand scheme of things, it's zero. And it's important that you say that to yourself, it's 0, because when those things go, when you lose your home, you lose your family, you lose your wife, you lose your children, then you don't break down. And Allah said, do not despair. He said, do not despair. Believers don't despair. Because why? Because we know at the end of the day, it's all going to be good. Can I end with this story? Yeah. There's a old sort of Sufi story. It's about this advisor to the king. I hope I'm getting this right, because I always seem to forget the punchline. It's really bad. It's about this advisor and the king. And the advisor and the king are out in the woods on their horses. And what happens is the king's horse rears back, he drops on the floor, and he basically lands in a cesspit of dung. Right? And he comes out, and he says to his advisor, what do you make of this? And the advisor says, it's all good. It's all good. He says, what? Have you seen the state of me? I stink. How can you say it's all good? He says, it's all good, my king, it's all good. And he says, guards, take this man and put him in the prison and throw away the king. I do not want to see him. So they take him and they put him in the prison. So now the king is riding by himself. He's on the horse. And he comes out. He's riding. And then suddenly, a tiger appears. The horse rears itself. He falls to the floor. He cries for help. The tiger comes, sniffs at him, and then walks away. And then suddenly there's an epiphany. He says, he was right. It's all good. So he gets on the horse, rides back, right? Pushes past the guards and says, release this man. This man saved my life. And he says, look, my advisor, I'm really sorry. I'm really sorry. Look, I'm really sorry. Will you ever forgive me that I put you in prison and treat you that way? He said, my king, it's all good. He said, it's good that I put you in prison? He said, yes. Because had you not, the lion would have eaten me. Right? So, whatever happens in our life, trust in God that whatever happens in the grand scheme of things is good. And I will end there, inshallah. Thanks for listening.